You're too masculine when you're trying to enslave women and own them and force them to be with you. And when you yourself are the one who's afraid that can't be without them, that enmeshment, that codependency is the toxic feminine aspect of you that needs to be healed. Just because somebody's acting like a fucking bitch doesn't mean she's in toxic feminine behavior. The outwardly violent behavior that we're seeing a little bit more in women, attacking, verbally attacking, screaming, throwing their fits, the Karens of the world. That's toxic masculine behavior. That is not toxic feminine behavior. The violent attack to create separation because I think I'm superior to you, that's toxic masculine behavior. It doesn't matter that a woman is expressing it through her. Women express toxic masculine behavior all the time. Here's what's funny. A lot of unconscious, third-dimensional, old earth, patriarchal men call women too masculine when they are in their divine independence. They're not too masculine. Toxic masculine is the violence, is the I'll murder you bullshit. I own you, you can't leave, domination, you're my slave. That's toxic masculine. The I can't be alone, you can't leave me, don't leave me, toxic feminine. Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast, your highest source of sacred truths and universal wisdom. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Rachel Fiori, mystic, spiritual teacher, psychic healer, and founder of Masters of Self University. Join our journey of soul transformation as we deep dive into this latest episode. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast. I'm Rachel Fiori, your host for this episode. Ooh, let's talk about the toxic feminine, shall we? Do you really know how to identify it? Oh, I'm going to guess you don't. Because we live in a patriarchal world. Not anymore. New Earth is here. New Earth, wisdom, the way of wisdom. Oneness is here. That's the New Earth. But we also need to understand and learn from the old earth. Otherwise, we're not the way of wisdom. Okay? So that's the old earth, duality consciousness, separation consciousness. That's what patriarchy is, right? That's the old earth, is patriarchy. So we have to understand when we now talk about what toxic feminine is, that we've come from the world of patriarchy for centuries and centuries, right? So we need to understand that everything we've learned, you've heard me teach this a million times by now, we've lived in the upside down world for so long. The collective brainwashing and mind control that has occurred in our world, in every culture, every nation that exists, has all been patriarchal. That's the world that we used to live in. Okay. So now we have to be willing and devoted to oneness consciousness if you're choosing to live on a new earth. And that means actually elevating to oneness consciousness. And that means the truth, the way of truth. That means the way of wisdom. It means continuing to dismantle everything that is false and an illusion and delusional of what we've learned from the past. And we start a new clean slate. Okay. So toxic feminine. So you think this is real easy to just spout off a list and understand what toxic feminine is. Not quite the case. Because we still have to understand, first of all, what divine feminine even means in order to be able to understand toxic feminine. And we also have to understand divine masculine and toxic masculine, because we get them very confused. Okay. So if you haven't yet, for some reason, if you're new to this channel, if you haven't yet watched, there's several previous podcasts that have been released that talk about divine masculine energy, and that divine feminine energy is oneness. Divine masculine energy is divine separation. You need to understand the truth about what divine masculine energy is and what divine feminine energy is before you're going to be able to comprehend this, what I'm going to offer here today, what I'm going to teach here. Okay. It's really important. So if you haven't seen those, go back and watch those first. There's at least 3, if not more, that are specific to that you need to understand first. Okay. So if we assume that you all understand and remember what divine, we're going to start with masculine, what divine masculine is, it's that divine separation. It is the positive side of separation. Patriarchy is not the positive side of separation. That's what we call, quote unquote, separation consciousness. When we're talking about that, anything in toxic masculine, anything that is toxic masculine is the distorted version of divine separation. Okay. So it means separation in a distorted way, toxic way, not in a divine way. Okay. You can't even begin to understand feminine if you don't understand this, toxic feminine, especially if you don't understand this. All right. So, the beautiful thing about divine masculine, divine separation is if I need to be alone, recalibrate my energies, recover, recoup from, all the teaching or the clients and the students in class and all the things that I do for other beings. Okay. What I'm here as a being to do when I need to be alone, completely separate in a divine, healthy way from, say, any other humans, including my husband, because I need to take care of myself, recalibrate my energies without any other energies interacting with mine. And your energetic, your electromagnetic field around your body, your torus field, sacred geometry, Taurus, your torus field around your body, that electromagnetic field is 100% of the time co-creating and intermingling, entangling with the energetic fields of all the beings around you. So that's why it's so, beautiful and magical and peaceful and healing to be in nature or just with you and your dog, for example. Most animals, most anything in nature, they don't have the ego. They don't have, now, abused animal, there can be exceptions to this if you're, fostering a dog or you adopted a dog and, severe abuse and neglect and things like that, and they have a lot of trauma. That can be a little bit different, a little bit, not the same as humans though, little bit different. But for the most part, any animals, the way that their torus field, their electromagnetic field connects to and entangles with and dances with your field is nothing but pure divine, the way of purity, the way of harmony. So it's oftentimes harmonizing yours. If you're enlightened enough and high enough, you're harmonizing them, they're harmonizing you simultaneously in oneness. So there's the exception. So when I need to be alone, okay, as the being that I am, and that includes away from my husband, away from any human, that's divine masculine energy because I'm separating myself. I need to be separate. I need to be independently alone. That independence to heal myself or to recover or to recalibrate my energies, right? All of that's an example of divine masculine. Okay. Because that separation is needed. It's good. It's positive. It's healthy. Learning how to do things independently on your own as a child, that's learning divine masculine energy, that you can do it yourself. Beautiful and critical, important energy to be in. Girl or boy, man or woman. Divine masculine has no gender. Okay. So I want you to remember that. So anything that is, and remember that feminine is oneness, for the all, the better for everyone. What is the best for everyone involved? That oneness, it is not separation. It never, ever, ever excludes. not toxic separation. Excluding based on prejudices or superiority, inequality, blah, blah, blah. That's toxic masculine. So anything that is distorted divine separation, distorted separation, if it's a distorted, dysfunctional version of, it's a distortion of divine separation, that's toxic masculine. Now, the majority of the shit in the world that we're going to see and witness in any human being, woman or man, hello, practical common sense, the majority of the toxic behaviors we see in all humans are going to be toxic masculine behaviors. Why? Because we live in patriarchy. That's why. Hi, makes sense. Everybody's been brainwashed and raised in this psychotic, distorted level of toxic separation consciousness, duality consciousness, which is patriarchy. So the majority of the behaviors you see in a woman or a man are going to be toxic masculine because they're rooted in separation consciousness. So any behavior that is related to separation, that is a distortion of or toxic form of separation, is toxic masculine energy. Okay. If you are objectifying another, that's separation. That's not oneness. That's separation. If you objectify, you're dehumanizing. So if you sexually objectify another, that is toxic masculine behavior. You're separating yourself from another. You are taking a stance, an energetic stance of superiority. You're placing them in a stance of inferiority, inferior to you. They are subservient. They're not, you dehumanize them. That is a toxic level of separation. Do you understand? So that's toxic masculine energy. So any woman who is acting superior, that's separation consciousness. That is toxic masculine energy. So here's the biggest mistake we make. Just because a woman is acting like a complete fucking asshole and she's a woman, we immediately call that toxic feminine. That's hilarious. Nope. That's not toxic feminine energy. You cheating on your spouse, you cheating on your partner, your boyfriend or girlfriend, you cheating, infidelity creates separation. I'm willing to do harm. If I'm willing to do harm, I'm in toxic separation from you. That's toxic masculine behavior. That's toxic masculine. So if a woman is the one cheating on her boyfriend, her partner, her spouse, she's in toxic masculine energy. Just because she's a woman doesn't mean that automatically makes it toxic feminine. This is how dumbed down we are. We don't even know the difference. And we say woman's being toxic, that automatically means that's toxic femininity. Look at the lack of education in our world. Are you kidding me? That you have no idea what you're even saying, and it doesn't even make any sense. And it's hilarious that people come in when we talk about, when I release podcasts about, divine masculine, toxic masculine, all the things that I'm teaching you. And then people come, what about toxic feminine? Like what about the Karens of the world? Karen is a toxic masculine cunt. And I'm so sorry if your name out there is Karen. What a terrible thing to do to people who are actually named Karen in the world. But you know that term. So I'm going to use it for the teaching. The Karens of the world are in extreme toxic masculine energy. That's not toxic feminine energy just because they're a woman. We live in patriarchy. We did, the old earth. We used to live in patriarchy. So the behaviors that are extreme, that are toxic, that are violent, that are I'm superior and you're inferior, because it's a woman doesn't mean it's toxic feminine. Hello. Anybody who says so, coming from 100% fucking ignorance, not the way of wisdom. This is the lack of actual, authentic spiritual education that exists on this planet. and done by design. That's never a judgment. It's not your fault. It's your fault if you do nothing about it. It's your fault if you're not willing to learn. It's your responsibility as the way of responsibility. It's not your fault that you were born into this brainwashing, toxic world of separation, duality, patriarchy. It is your responsibility to fix that within yourself, to become educated, to become the way of wisdom, to become the way of equality and what that means. Okay?
Hello, MSU podcast listeners. This is Danny here with just a quick announcement. We are launching a 20 days, 20 ways challenge right now, where you can actually begin the process of activating and experiencing these divine frequencies, the ways of oneness taught by Rachel, in a free challenge. So if you're interested in starting to integrate and learn this work, please go over to our website, go to the university enrollment page, sign up for our free emails, and within that first week of learning about what university enrollment is, you will receive an email to access the 20 days, 20 ways activation series. It's completely free. So please go and enjoy it. Start activating these frequencies. And of course, enjoy the rest of this podcast episode. Thanks.
So I know I haven't even said what toxic feminine is yet. I know, on purpose. Because we really need to understand that the majority of women who are acting like complete assholes, the woman who, if it's, woman to woman, like friends in your friends group, if she would cheat with your partner, your spouse, your significant other, if she would cheat and go behind your back and stab you in the back, that is toxic masculine energy. That's separating us. It's not bringing us together in oneness. Anything related to separation, when you look at behaviors, the way that we treat nature, the destruction of nature, that we are objectifying animals, entire species that have gone extinct because toxic masculine behavior, slaughters, tortures, murders, all in separation, dominates, conquers, controls, pillages, rapes, all toxic masculine. Makes sense. We've come from toxic masculine world for centuries. If we came from toxic feminine world for centuries, everything would look very drastically different. It would still be toxic. It would be drastically different. So common sense, people. Let's critically think instead of just our dumb, blind, knee-jerk reactions to shit that we're not even functioning in any level of wisdom. We don't have the education, and yet we just throw shit out and say, well, that's toxic feminine. No, it isn't. The majority of what you see that is dysfunctional obviously is going to be toxic masculine. We've come from patriarchy, which is nothing but toxicity. So the majority of people's behaviors, woman or man, are going to be toxic masculine behaviors. When look at what we're talking about, look at what that person's doing. Are they creating separation, toxic, distorted level of separation, not divine separation? They're not showing divine separation. That's a beautiful thing. We want that. That's divine masculine energy. We need it. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. Any distortion of that in separation, anything, it is always toxic masculine behavior. So when a woman is cheating, when a woman is having an affair with a married man, he's in toxic masculine, and the woman he's having an affair with is in toxic masculine. Okay? Toxic masculine. Because I'm creating separation versus toxic separation versus oneness. Okay? So enough about that. You get it. You get it now. Hopefully. Look at the behavior of another human being that is like an unhealthy, unloving, not divine, lacks divinity, lacks the ways of oneness. Look at those behaviors. And if they're creating separation, they are rooted in separation, the unhealthy, distorted separation. Again, I will always specify divine separation if I mean divine separation, that divine mask, which is divine masculine energy. So if it's rooted in just distorted toxic separation, look at the behavior that somebody demonstrates when it comes from separation and it creates division in an unhealthy, distorted way. That is toxic masculine behavior, toxic masculine energy, period, end. Okay? Now, if you remember that divine feminine energy is oneness. Remember what I've taught you. Goddess, the only way to refer to source, other than the all, the creator of all that is, if you're going to assign a gender or speak about her as a gender, the only accurate way to speak about her that is in the way of truth is goddess. Goddess includes God in it. The word itself has both, it's inclusive. I've taught this before in previous podcasts. Okay, feminine is oneness. Woman has the word man in it, all inclusive. It includes both. Do you understand? So feminine is oneness. Remember, divine feminine oneness. So anything distorted or distorting oneness, a distortion of oneness, is toxic feminine energy. Let's understand this. When you see behaviors of, here's the toxic feminine, codependency, that's toxic feminine, that's not toxic masculine. Enmeshment, that's toxic feminine. Enmeshment, these are your most extreme forms of what actual toxic feminine is. I can't do it without you. I need you. Why? Well, oneness. Remember, it's a distortion of oneness. It's a distortion of oneness. Oneness does not mean you are powerless. Oneness does not mean ever enmeshment, codependency. So anybody who's been through our core curriculum classes, The Power Within at Masters of Self University, anybody who's been through our coaching programs at Masters of Self University, you were taught the power that you have within. Connect to it. What is it? And what does that mean? Not an intellectual teaching. You energetically learn how to do this stuff. Okay. You've also learned, well, what type of parents did I have? What parenting style did my parents have? For those of you who had enmeshed parents, so let's say the helicopter parent, maybe you had a helicopter mom, always hovering, always in your business, never anything you did was alone by yourself. She did everything for you. She was an enabler. She never taught you to grow up and be fucking independent. That's toxic feminine. Because that's a distortion of what oneness is. In oneness, it is all inclusive in a divine enlightened way. Okay? Let this sink in. So if I'm enabling you as a parent, if I'm raising you where I don't teach you to do anything for yourself, I'm not allowing divine masculine to come into play. Because that's independence. That's divine masculine. Okay? In oneness, which encompasses the all, remember, goddess encompasses God. Goddess includes woman includes man. All encompassing. She is all. She is oneness. She doesn't exclude. Okay? So if you were raised by a parent who enabled you, did everything for you. You never had to do anything for yourself. She always fixed all your problems. And it could be the father too. 100% could be a father in enmeshed, in codependency. That's toxic feminine energy, even if it is the father behaving like this. I'll do everything I'll fix everything. Any father who goes and fixes everything, that's a toxic feminine behavior. Now, toxic masculine, we've seen a lot from the parasites. We like to call the elites. They're not elite. You're the elite. I hope you understand this. They're parasites because they suck the life force energy out of you. They use you. They enslave you. They brainwash you. They mind control you so that they can make money off of you. They trap you in suffering. Those are parasites. Those aren't elites. Elite, that's us. That's you and me. We're the elites. If we weren't elite, they wouldn't need to, as parasites, they wouldn't have the parasitic behaviors to suck the life force energy and all our money and all our everything. They use us and suck our energy and our resources, the resources of the earth. They do that because they're parasites. Elites don't behave that way. Wrong turn. Remember, we used to live in the upside down world of patriarchy. They want you to think they're the elites. They're not the elites. We are, or they wouldn't need us and they wouldn't brainwash us and they wouldn't use us and enslave us the way that they do. I'm going to make that clear. So parasites, you now know what I mean when I refer to parasites, what used to call the elites. They're parasites. They're parasitic. They're not elites. Elites don't behave that way. True elites don't behave that way. They behave in oneness. Why do you think they want you to call them the elites? So you think of them in a way that doesn't exist, that's delusional. We are actually the elites. That is a beautiful, positive thing because it means you're so divine. You're divinely powerful. We are the elites. They're the parasites. So, in our parasitic, patriarchal, old world, old earth, you will see in that world a lot of men. So men will do, kids even, teenagers, young men will do terrible, horrific things. They'll rape women. They'll do all these terrible, horrific things in toxic masculine. And then what you'll see is the enabling of that as toxic feminine. So toxic masculine behaviors exist. So let's say a father, I have seen, I'm sure you've seen some. I've seen enough documentaries about, men who end up killing his wife and one of his sons. He's wealthy. He's in that class where the rules don't apply to him. He abuses the system, does whatever he wants. All toxic masculine behavior. Okay. A son rapes, steals, does whatever. All toxic masculine behavior. And then, let's not ruin he raped 3 women. Let's not ruin his life. Oh, excuse me, what? Toxic masculine behavior. But when we enable, let's not ruin his life. So he can go ruin any life he wants in separation and toxic masculine. And then the toxic feminine comes in when it's enabling or when there's codependency. When there's been couples that I've coached in the work that we offer and one partner, the couple is having a problem because one partner grew up in complete enmeshment. And therefore, his behaviors, I'm thinking one couple in particular, like his behaviors towards her was always he was constantly sucking the life force energy out of her. Okay. He was enmeshed to such an extreme degree. She was like, oh my God, get off of me. Give me some goddamn space. You don't need to constantly be touching me. You don't need to constantly be all over me. You don't need to constantly be looking for cuddles and sex and, constantly have to be on me, touching me. It was like, give me goddamn space. The distortion of oneness. We're always together. We can never be separate. That's toxic feminine energy. I can't be alone. I have to be in a relationship. Toxic feminine energy. This whole, quote unquote crisis that men are going through in the world, and especially in the United States, of isolation and loneliness. Oh, there's a crisis of loneliness because men can't be alone. That is actually toxic feminine energy. It is a distortion of oneness. And they project, a lot of incels and all out there, they're projecting onto women that are in like the 4B movement. They're like, we don't need you. Fuck you. We've had enough. We're tired of being unsafe. We're tired of being raped. We're tired of being drugged. We're tired of being murdered. We're tired of being set on fire, etc. What you see, sacred feminine rising on the planet, feminine energy, oneness is rising on the planet. And yet the enmeshment, like when the men, like what I just described, when men project onto women, you're gonna be alone. No, you're projecting your own fear of being alone. Or you would have no fucking problem with women being like, I don't want to date. Okay, don't date. I'm not gonna be married. I'm not gonna have your children. I'm not gonna have sex with you because 4B movement, and you all need to grow the fuck up. We're tired. We're done. We're done with the violence from men. We're done with the toxic masculine. And yet men will resort to this neediness that they are afraid to be alone, which is why they so desperately want to have access to women. That's toxic feminine. Toxic masculine is the superiority, the violence, the objectification, the entitlement, that you're entitled to women, access to women and women's bodies, all this bullshit. That's the old earth of patriarchy, right? So that's all toxic masculine, and yet where does toxic feminine come into play? You need us. You're just projecting your own pathetic needs. You're not connected to your divinity, obviously. You need us. You're going to be lonely. No, they're not. You know why? Because in oneness means I am in my divine feminine and my divine masculine 100% of the time. And to whatever degree that I need either one, I just am that automatically. And all of it is oneness. And that literally means divine masculine independence alone. I can be alone and live alone and be completely happy. In fact, it's already statistically proven that women don't benefit from marriage. Men do. Women are leaving that world behind. They're tired of being used. They're tired of being abused. They're tired of giving all of the labor and all the work in the home and around raising children and having no pay and no in the way of honoring of them. They're just used. They're dehumanized. Okay? All toxic masculine, except for we need you, toxic feminine. You have to stay with men. So the countries that are paying for first dates, the countries that are paying, giving all these incentives for heterosexual couples to keep coupling and to keep having babies, for women to keep having babies. They're giving all these incentives to do that. It's psychotic. That's toxic feminine energy. It is also toxic masculine to own that you're my servant, that you're my slave, I'm superior over you. That's all toxic masculine. But the neediness, that's toxic feminine. I can't be without you. I can't be on my own. So as women rise, as women are coming into the power of what the feminine is, which is all, goddess, source creator of all that is, which is goddess, as they become that, part of becoming beings of oneness consciousness. Think about this. We've been toxic masculine for centuries, patriarchy for centuries. What's missing on the goddamn planet? is divine masculine energy. What has been suppressed on the planet is divine feminine energy. What has been activated and prevalent on the planet, that's taken over the planet, is toxic masculine energy with some toxic feminine thrown in there. Okay? You following me? So, what's missing from the planet, so stay with me because I'm taking my time and going slow because I want you to be able to follow. I don't want you to get confused. The feminine period has been demeaned, raped, savagely tortured, and brutalized on this planet. She has been lied to, lied about, manipulated, oppressed to such extreme degrees. So divine feminine, which is oneness, yes, that has been absent, but in oneness includes all, not one or the other, all. So part of what has been missing from the planet is divine masculine energy. That divine masculine energy in a lot of women is coming online because it's been missing from men and women for centuries. Okay? So what that means is, like the 4B movement, that's actually divine masculine energy coming online in the feminine. That's oneness recalibrating and balancing itself out to create equilibrium, balance. That's the way of equality's balance of the 20 universal ways of oneness. So women who are like, I don't need you. I don't need you. Like, I can work and support myself and take care of my own needs. Like, I'm a mature adult. Hello. That's divine masculine coming online because that's oneness. What's been missing from the planet is not just divine feminine energy. It's been divine masculine. What's killing the planet and has been killing everybody violently, killing the whole fucking planet, is toxic masculine energy. Do you see it? So when women rise and they step into their fullness of what divine feminine, remember, divine feminine is creator energy, the source of all that is. That includes everything. That includes feminine and masculine. So of course, divine masculine is going to rise on the planet. Both are going to rise on the planet. And right now, what we're seeing is it's rising through women way more than men. And of course, there's some men, there's a percentage of men who are elevating and rising in both, in oneness as well. They're doing the work on themselves. They're elevating too. So their divine feminine is coming online, which means automatically their divine masculine is coming online because she, the feminine, includes all. It's both. It's everything. It's one. Do you see it? So the distortion of oneness, that's the toxic feminine. That means an extreme form. The polarized, extreme, distorted form of oneness would be codependency, dependency, and enmeshment. Those are the most common programs that you're going to see across the board. Anything related to that, that's toxic feminine. So the toxic masculine men who refuse to grow up and heal and elevate, they're third dimensional old earth men, when they're fighting for coupling women in heterosexual couples and relationships, they're forcing women. You can't get a divorce anymore. Men rape you. You have to have their baby. All this taking away the rights of women and brutally enslaving them in violent ways. Okay. So careful. All of the toxic masculine that carries out the violence, the inequality, the enslavement, that's all toxic masculine. The I need you to be with me, I can't be alone. I'm so used to toxic masculine energy. What is missing from myself is divine masculine energy, which means I have no ability to stand on my own and be fucking independent. I am lacking divine masculine when I have no ability to fucking live alone and take care of my goddamn self and wash my own underwear and my own laundry and cook my own fucking meals and clean my own goddamn house. What is missing there is divine masculine energy. So in all these years of oppression of women, women have mastered divine masculine energy in oneness because they are the feminine. So all of the I can clean, I can take care of everybody. That's mastering feminine in oneness. It is also mastering divine masculine energy. Women are far more advanced right now on the planet than men because they can do it all. They can be in divine separation, divine masculine, independently live alone with their dog or animals or 12 acres of land with some animals. They are completely happy. We are happy. And that is oneness, which is, remember, feminine is the umbrella term. Oneness is the umbrella term. It doesn't exclude, nothing's missing from oneness. So I have divine masculine energy flowing through me at any given time. That means if I saw this recently on social media, it was this adorable heterosexual couple. And the wife was like, no, sorry, the husband was asking his wife, okay, so if I died tomorrow, we're going to play a little game. If I died tomorrow, I'm dead. I'm no longer here. It's after the funeral. How would you marry again? And she was like, hell no. He's like, what would you do? And he wasn't asking it in a, would you marry again? I'll come back and haunt you if you do. It wasn't in a negative. It was a fun, playful, like genuine curiosity. It was really sweet to see it. And he asked her, and she went on this whole beautiful tangent about what she would do. She's like, hell no, I wouldn't marry again. Are you kidding me? Ew. She's like, look at the majority of the men in the world. She's like, no, I would. And she's like, I would live in the woods and I'd have this land and I would have animals and I would be doing these magical, mystical, like rituals and I blah, blah, blah. And she went on and on to tell this beautiful tale. And he was like, oh my God. He's like, can I come? Oh, wait, I'd be dead. I can't be there. Damn it. They were really cute together. And anyway, and he's laughing. He's like, that sounds amazing. That sounds like a beautiful life, and then he's joking like, don't poison me and kill me off. Cause that sounds like a great life. And they're happily married. They love each other. They were a beautiful couple, at least what it seemed like, at least what they displayed when they were sharing on social media. Okay. In that moment. And here's the beauty in that. The reason why she doesn't have the reaction, which again, I'm generalizing, but this is where we're at in the world, and the old world, old earth, patriarchy. Men are so desperate and fearful of being alone. They're not independent. We have done the privilege of men, toxic masculine, the entitlement of men, toxic masculine. Okay. The sexism, misogyny, making them the superior, toxic masculine. Because of that, what distorts then is their feminine nature. Everyone is both. And so the distorted feminine that comes online in all of that is enmeshment, codependency, neediness, this pathetic neediness of I can't be alone. So if you, woman or man, jump from relationship to relationship and you can't be alone and you've never spent time alone, to a lot of men, when they break up, whether they break up or the woman breaks up with them and ends the relationship, if they haven't already been cheating, they are immediately in another relationship. That I can't be alone, fucking pathetic neediness bullshit, that's toxic feminine. That's a level of powerlessness. A lack of independence means you're not in your divine masculine energy. So what you need to heal and come online is divine masculine. What you need to heal is the wounded feminine so the divine masculine can come online. Let that one sink in. Okay. Feminine on this planet, women, have been so abused, oppressed, violently enslaved, violently attacked and abused and tortured for centuries. That wounded feminine in oneness, what tends to come online to heal that neediness, that I can't be alone stuff, what specifically those programs that come from the oppression of what divine feminine energy is. Everybody has different programs that are unique to you as an individual. But the ones that arise into neediness, that pathetic, I can't be alone nonsense, oh, is the weakest energy that exists. It's like, I can't stand feeling that energy in people. If I were just in my full feminine energy, that means oneness. I am fully balanced with feminine and masculine energies. Done. I can absolutely be alone. I can be happy in a partnership, in a relationship, in a healthy, I can absolutely be happy in a healthy partnership. I have balance in my partnership with the togetherness of us and also the separation. When I need separate time alone, independence from you, as well as simultaneously being together with you. That is a balanced, healthy, divine relationship. That is a relationship of oneness. It has both togetherness and alone time, healthy separation. Do you see it? So that extreme form of toxic feminine is what you'll see in men and women when they cannot be alone, or when they raise their goddamn children in enmeshment and you do every fucking thing for them instead of allowing them to become independent and responsible enough to take care of the goddamn selves. You do everything for them, and then suddenly they're old enough to move out of the house and you don't know what the hell the problem is. All their relationships suck. They are little immature children who can't think on their own, do anything on their own. That enmeshment is toxic feminine energy. It's that distorted oneness. It's the oneness. It's not actual oneness. It's the distortion of. It's that extreme polarized, distorted version of oneness, which obviously isn't oneness. Do you understand? That's toxic feminine. So that neediness, that codependency, that relationship hopping, that you're already in another relationship before your last one even ends, that pathetic behavior, that I can't be alone, I'm going to lower myself to repeat old patterns and jump into old timelines and not elevate and move on, because I can't fucking spend a few months alone by myself gaining divine independence. You lack divine masculine energy. You are in toxic feminine energy. People, and the trend is more with men jumping, I can never be alone. We see it all over the globe. Force women to be in relationship with you. Don't let them leave. If you leave, I'll murder you. Toxic masculine is the violence, is the I'll murder you bullshit. I own you. You can't leave. Domination. You're my slave. That's toxic masculine. The I can't be alone. You can't leave me. Don't leave me. Toxic feminine. That enmeshment is toxic feminine. That codependency is toxic feminine. Do you see it? Do you see how both are intertwined? So you have to be able to pull out the energies and understand which ones, because they're all entangled in there. Toxic feminine and toxic masculine are going to be entangled. Okay. Hyper independence. That's getting into toxic masculine. You don't need to be hyper independent. When you can be fully divinely independent and also work as a team and have relationships and have friends and you don't have to have a romantic partner. And that's same sex or heterosexual, both. Okay. Of course, with what's going on in the world, I'm going to talk more about it from a place of heterosexual relationships. It doesn't mean there's a complete exclusion at all with same-sex couples. Okay, things manifest a little bit differently typically in same-sex couples. However, the majority of what I say, first of all, when you're talking about divine feminine, it doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man, and it doesn't matter if you're homosexual or heterosexual. Divine feminine is divine feminine. Okay, what you're going to see is divine feminine more in woman, in the physical embodiment of a woman versus a man, because she's the leader of divine feminine. And same thing with divine masculine men. What you're going to, they're supposed to be the role model in male, man, physical meat suit form. I know this can get confusing, but this is the education we're missing in the world, which is why I'm providing it. It's time. You're ready for it. Or I wouldn't be here on the planet teaching it to you. I'd have to wait longer. Okay? So I really hope that helps. Maybe listen to this episode one more time, just to let it all get really clear, crystal clear, as the way of purity. Okay, so distortion of oneness, extreme forms of oneness, which is I can't be without you, dependency, codependency, neediness. I can't be on my own ever. And I can't be by myself and live by myself alone. I have to be in relationship. I'm so dependent upon another person being with me at all times to validate me and justify who I am as a being. I can't be alone. Toxic feminine energy, and you're lacking divine masculine. What heals that is divine masculine energy. You need to evolve into your divine masculine energy. Neediness, I can't be without you. I have to have someone in my life, even if it means I settle and I lower the bar. That's toxic feminine. So I settle, I lower the bar just so I can't be alone. I don't want to be alone. The neediness, the enmeshment, toxic feminine. See it? Ooh, I hope we have some epiphanies here today. So I can't be without, I can't do it by myself. Toxic feminine energy. Divine feminine is I'm never alone. First of all, I always have myself. It's fucking ridiculous. Because I'm oneness. I'm in oneness with me, of the all, because I am the all. I'm in oneness with goddess because I am goddess incarnated. I have an entire divine team on my side. I'm never alone. Even when I'm alone, I'm not lonely. I'm never alone. I'm everything and everyone all at once because I am the goddess creator of all that is. I am the Trinity, the creator, the observer, the experiencer. I'm never actually alone, even if in human form, I am not in a romantic partnership, for example. That doesn't mean that type of being alone is divine independence when you are completely okay with being single and being alone and being happy. Neediness, toxic feminine energy. Connect to your power, grow the fuck up, mature out of that bullshit. If you cannot live alone and you never have, and you relationship hop, which a lot of you do, relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship, you're never fucking alone. You've never been alone once. You're an immature little child. Woman or man. You're an immature little child. You're an immature, emotionally fragile, needy little child. You are not a mature divine adult. Because mature divine adults who function in oneness have no problem being alone and on their own. You see it? So, although your toxic feminine and your toxic masculine energies play off of each other, and they are interconnected at any given time, expressing themselves. Now, maybe you have a much clearer picture of the difference between what toxic feminine actually is. Just because somebody's acting like a fucking bitch doesn't mean she's in toxic feminine behavior. The outwardly violent behavior that we're seeing a little bit more in women, attacking, verbally attacking, screaming, throwing their fits, the Karens of the world. That's toxic masculine behavior. That is not toxic feminine behavior. The violent attack to create separation because I think I'm superior to you, that's toxic masculine behavior. It doesn't matter that a woman is expressing it through her. Women express toxic masculine behavior all the time. Here's what's funny. A lot of unconscious, third-dimensional, old earth, patriarchal men call women too masculine when they are in their divine independence. They're not too masculine. You're too masculine when you're trying to enslave women and own them and force them to be with you. And when you yourself are the one who's afraid they can't be without them, that enmeshment, that codependency is the toxic feminine aspect of you that needs to be healed. Women who are, if they have a divine partner, if they have a man who is healing and elevating and in his divinity of oneness, women are perfectly happy being in relationships with actual healthy, mature men in heterosexual relationships. When you're not that, the leadership of a woman, that's feminine energy, because that's oneness energy is leadership energy. You can't be in leadership energy if you're in masculine energy. Who is there to lead? Divine masculine means divine separation, independence, alone. I'm separate in a divine way, healthy way. Divine, remember? If I'm alone and separate in my divine independent nature, divine masculine nature, who am I leading? There's no one to lead. Divine feminine energy is leadership energy because she's oneness. She's connected to all. She is all. She is the balance of feminine and masculine. So divine masculine in separation, that's not leadership anyway. Energy. It's a me, but not in a selfish, distorted way. Remember, language is limiting, but it's a me. Again, in a healthy, independent, I come first sometimes way. That's healthy. That's not leadership energy, because leadership energy has to have the capacity and the ability to consider all involved at all times, including myself. That's feminine energy. Feminine is leadership. Feminine leads. Masculine follows. Masculine reinforces. Masculine is a reinforcer of what the feminine says, what the feminine leads you, how the feminine leads you. Masculine follows. Masculine reinforces that. He can be the reinforcer because he's independent in nature. That is divine masculine energy, independent. That's why he, divine masculine, is the reinforcer, because he, by himself alone, can reinforce shit. Are we learning better now? He can reinforce shit. So when I have all of you to think about, and I'm considering everybody all at one time in my mind and my heart and my soul and my body, because I'm feminine and that's what feminine is. It's oneness. My divine feminine has the ability to do that. I am the leader considering all. Who's going to reinforce my leadership is somebody who can independently stand on his own to be the reinforcer. That's divine masculine energy coming in to reinforce the divine feminine, because we're one. That's how we work together. Divine masculine in his divine independence is a reinforcer. You see it? Toxic feminine is that I can't be without you. I can't be on my own. I'm afraid to live alone. I'm afraid to not be in a relationship. You don't even know who the fuck you are because you're always with someone else. Divine masculine has never come online for you when you can't fucking be alone. It's pathetic. It's immature. You're a baby. I'm not judging you. That's not a judgment. It's the truth. That's where you're at in your level of consciousness. And that's why you repeat patterns, relationship after relationship after relationship after relationship. That's why and how. That's what's happening. That's what's going on. I know some of you are like, oh my God. So my pattern, my fear of being alone and relationship hopping and lowering myself so that I never have to be alone and I just have to be in another relationship with another man or woman. What's missing is divine masculine energy. What is online is toxic feminine energy. I know you see it. I know you can see it now in a more elevated way. So now that that's all cleared up, maybe we can elevate to honoring what feminine energy actually is, what masculine energy actually is. And it will help you elevate and come more into balance with it. Let me say this very quickly. When it comes to same-sex couples, I'm not excluding when I teach in this way. And I hope those of you who listen don't ever feel excluded. I really hope that you do not. Because whether it's two men together or two women together, you each as individuals have all of the energies I'm talking about. They're there 100% within you. Period, end. Okay? In same-sex couples, there's always going to be one, if it's women, there's always going to be one woman who is a little bit more in the social construct of what we call masculine. And then there's another one who their partner will be in a little bit more in the social construct of what we call feminine. There will always be a little bit of a difference there, sometimes drastic difference. And it's the same for same-sex couples who are men. Okay. There tends to be one who takes on more of, because we're supposed to, who takes on more of what divine feminine represents. And the other one takes a little bit more on what divine masculine is supposed to represent. And we live that way in order to play those roles a little bit. Not that we're not both as individuals. We should be both and balanced completely within me, myself, and I. If I'm an elevated being of oneness, I have that no problem, whether I'm in a relationship or not. Right? That's oneness. But if I am actually in a partnership, a relationship, a marriage, okay, there's always going to be a dynamic where one is a little bit more on this side and the other's a little bit more on that side. And when I say on that side, on this side or that side, I'm not talking about in separation. Okay, so all of this applies to same-sex couples as well. It's understanding this just in general in our world. What are these things coming from a place of truth, which is an aspect of oneness? The way of truth is an aspect of oneness. It's one of the universal ways of oneness. It's the frequency, right? So when we understand this in truth, you then apply it to your own individual life. If you're in a romantic relationship, you apply it to your romantic relationship. If you are close or not close with your family members or friends or whatever it is in your life, apply it to there. Because this is the dynamic between women and men and all over the planet. It doesn't matter the relationship. Do you understand? Doesn't matter if it's coworkers, colleagues. When you understand this as the way of truth, you tend to heal and elevate and show up differently in all of your relationships. Okay? And we need to first understand it as a, you know, again, divine feminine, divine masculine, understand what those two are. We can never function with them integrated in oneness unless we first take the steps to understand them in a concept that our left brain can understand as they're separate things. They're not separate. They are only separate in created realities of toxicity. That's where patriarchy comes into play. And if you had a world of extreme toxic feminine, you would have a bunch of people who live together and would never ever live on their own. They wouldn't do anything by themselves. And I mean in an extreme, distorted, dysfunctional, unhealthy way. Not in a way of oneness where you have communities always working together in oneness, helping each other, supporting each other, healing each other, educating each other, uplifting each other, etc. That oneness, that's what we need. That's what we want. That's what a new earth is. That's what oneness, the feminine, the matriarch is. Okay. In extreme distortion, which by the way, it is very easy to go to a distorted toxic level when you're talking about separation. Very easy to go to very toxic levels very quickly. When it's separation we're talking about. In oneness, it's not as easy to go to such toxic levels. And the toxic levels, they don't include raping and murder and violent. It doesn't make any sense. You're so enmeshed, you wouldn't want to hurt the other person. It doesn't mean you don't cause harm. You do. Right? But the violence, the violent part, that's toxic masculine. Okay? So I hope you understand and that cleared things up. Thank you for listening. Visit us at mastersofselfuniversity.com. You want to enroll in our university as a student, go to the website and check us out. We teach all these magnificent things in our classes. So the more you enroll, the more you learn when you enroll year after year as a university student at our metaphysical school, the more you'll elevate to these things. Okay? Right now, I'm trying my very best to give as much as I possibly can for free, to just offer this to the whole world because the teachings need to be here. But if you want to go in depth and become this in a more acute way, in a more powerful way, and actually become it, and not just try to do it on your own or piecemeal it, enroll as a university student. That's what we're here for. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next one.